We're up. Okay. We'll call this meeting in order. Pledge allegiance led by Supervisor Driscoll.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the roll call.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Mayday?
Here.
Mr. Diamond?
Here.
Ms. Gilligan? Here. Ms. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Driscoll?
Here.
Mr. Patchit?
Here.
Mr. Drossy?
Here.
Mr. Bean?
Here.
Mr. Cressida?
Here.
Mr. Merlino?
Here.
Mr. Stroud?
Here.
Mr. Wild?
Here.
Mr. McGowan?
Here.
Mr. Strainer?
Here.
Mr. Etu? Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Runyon? Here. Chairman Garrity?
Here.
Quorum is established.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody today to our board meeting, and we have some presentations to make. After we go through a little order of business, next is a motion to approve the May 14th Board of Supervisors and the June 10th Board of Supervisors workshop meeting minutes. Motion by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor Gerasi. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, next we have the presentation of the Tobacco Tar Wars program, and Dan Durkee from Public Health will introduce our honorees, and I thank all the students. I thank all the parents for coming today. It's an important program that we do at the county. So Dan.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having us to the Board of Supervisors. We appreciate inviting us in today. Just to give you a little background, my name is Dan Durkee. I am the Public Health Administrator. I kind of oversee the education piece of the Health Department. Today's presentation is called Tar Wars, but that's kind of a misnomer at this point. It is a tobacco and nicotine prevention program. This is presented to 4th and 5th grade students throughout January and February. It's a program I was hoping wouldn't have to continue because we'd be so successful, nobody would be smoking anymore or using tobacco. We know that's not the case. And so today we want to recognize the 4th and 5th grade students who participated in this program, but also then created posters based on the information they gathered during an hour-long presentation to their classes, covering things from how nicotine impacts our brains and our bodies to how the manipulation of the tobacco industry can kind of influence what's happening out there. So we are going to honor those kids today. But before we do that, one, I'd like to recognize Katie Boyle. I think she was hiding in the corner back there, but she is one of our newest educators. And this is her actually at Warrensburg School, providing some of that information to those students from Warrensburg. Again, talking about the cost that, or the amount of money tobacco companies spend on advertising per hour to try to influence people to smoke. And if you look, it says almost $1 million an hour. That's what our groups are competing against when we look at anti-tobacco or tobacco prevention programming. So it is an uphill task, but we appreciate the Board of Supervisors for continuing to support these programs. I am going to get on a little bit of a soapbox here just to kind of give you an idea. The reason these programs are so important. So we were making great progress as public health and as individuals in a society in reducing the amount of tobacco use that was happening, especially among our youth. So on the board behind you, you actually have some graphs and charts that show from 2000 all the way up to 2022. This is information New York State collects regularly on tobacco use. And over here, you can see for 15 years, we had a really strong, steady decline of youth cigarette use within New York and around the country. And as a matter of fact, in 2022, it's the lowest, and it's at this brown one here. It's the lowest we have ever seen the use of traditional cigarettes since this has been recorded. The other tobacco products as well, so things like chewing tobacco, cigars, et cetera, that was also at its lowest level. Unfortunately, that progress was upended really when we started to see it was 2014. And I'm sure you've heard, if you've talked to any of your school leaders or anything, that 2014 was the explosion of the e-cigarette or vapes markets. Juul was one of the leaders there. And what we saw with this is that e-cigarettes and vape use from 2014 to 2018 went up by 161%. all of the work that we had done to help our youth get off of nicotine, to be able to live a nicotine and tobacco-free life, was wiped out because of these new marketing materials, these new electronic devices that were sold on the message of safe, non-addicting, non-habit forming. Once the FDA and others got into the nuance of it, it was found out that none of this was true. But because the market moves so fast, and we all know technology moves faster than laws, they were able to skirt a lot of these issues, make a lot of money. We are slowly catching up. But within a 4-year period, within a 4-year period, we had lost a lot of the progress we had made removing nicotine from our youth populations. I am happy to say this little yellow line up here, you can see the spike. It was up to almost 30% of our youth reporting using these types of products in 2018. We have since started to see the decline come back down, and we're going to continue that progress as long as we have the support of the board and the youth continue to get these programs so that they can make great choices and decisions. But it does take a community, and it does take the support of lawmakers. So we do appreciate it. And just to give you an idea of why this is so hard to compete against, this next slide shows you, if I can get it here to want to move forward. This is what people are seeing online. So if we look over at the far right hand, these are the way products were being developed and marketed. This is an e-liquid. This is Ready Whip. You can't tell me who they're marketing to is not for kids and youth. Here we have Lifesaver gummies. Oh, the e-liquid, exact same marketing. This is apple juice. Well, look at our e-liquids. So this is what was being seen out there. New York has taken some steps to start banning and eliminating flavored liquids and things, but it's still progress. It's still a fight in hand. And then these are the online ads that we don't even know how to really monitor, right? In the old days, it was TV, radio, bulletin boards, that kind of things. And then New York put a lot of restrictions on where you could market. Well, social media is a whole new platform that we need to be aware of, and that's what we're battling. The other is in our communities now, these pop-up shops, and you may recognize some of these and what they look like compared to shops next to them. So these are some local shops. I'm sure some of you know right where they are.
Mhm.
Big, bright, bold, no restrictions, right? When you go to a Stewart's, they may advertise tobacco and tobacco products. It looks nothing like this. These standalone shops have very few restrictions on their advertising because they weren't considered back when the advertising restrictions were built by New York. And so what's nice about New York is we have the ability as local lawmakers and local policymakers to actually restrict the types of advertising. Whoa, sorry, everybody. Fat fingers that can occur in our communities. There is no preemption in New York. As long as you meet the basic guidelines, you can always be harsher or stronger with your restrictions. And some communities have done that. But I just wanted to show you again, these are different communities. This one right here is unique because this used to be a consignment shop. And now it is a Queen Exotics, and it advertises snacks and drinks. There is no restriction on what age somebody can be to walk into one of these stores, by the way. It's not like a bar. So anybody can walk in at any age. They just can't sell. So these are some of the things we're combating. And these are things that are in your community that you and I may put in the back of our minds. They may pass through as just something that we see quickly. But for youth, it grabs their attention, right? Big, bright, bold. That's what we see. And these are the things we're looking at. And so our program really focused with these youth this year on trying to get them aware of how these old marketing habit tactics are coming back with just a new product. And so we all have to be aware of what's happening in our communities. And we can always talk about that more. But there's my soapbox. I'm stepping off now so we can actually take a look at our Tar Wars poster contest winners. And what I would like to do is I'm going to start first with our overall winners. So for those of you who don't know, what we do is we have schools submit posters from the 4th and 5th grades of students who participate. Those posters are then hung up down by our public health office for about 5 weeks. And we ask the employees, boards of supervisors, and others to come in and vote on their favorite poster saying which one sells the best message about being nicotine free. And so the first 3 posters we're going to see were what we call our overall winners. They were selected as the top of the top of all the posters submitted today. So when you hear your name, for those of you who are nervous in the front there, don't worry about it. Just come on up and Supervisor Garrity here has been so kind. He's going to actually get you your certificate, and for those top 3 winners, your extra prize. So with no further ado, let's get to the people who really need to be seen today. First is Ellie McNamee. She is from Queensbury Intermediate School. She's a 4th grader. She just does the comparison. Life is good when it's tobacco free. Again, I don't think you need much said about this. You know, the world is brighter, better, and healthier when you are tobacco free. So Ellie, you were chosen as our top overall winner. So not only did you get your prize, but you also get an additional prize. The Great Escape donated 2 passes to the Great Escape for you. So please come on up, get your certificate, and congratulations. All right. Our second overall winner. So we give a top 3 prizes. Aurora Hitchcock from Johnsburg Central School, 5th grader. Be a hero and wear a cape. Don't vape. Pretty simple. Aurora, awesome job. She was awarded 2 120-minute passes to Sky Zone as a donation, and that is her prize for being our second overall. Great job. Aurora, I have to ask, are you a Marvel fan? I was wondering if that's where the cape came from, all those Marvel characters. All right. Our 3rd overall winner. Eiley Howe from Lake George Central School. Stay positive like me, be tobacco free. You don't need to say any more than that. Eiley, that is an awesome poster. Simple message. Love it. She gets a $25 gift card to Target. Great job, kiddo. All right, now we're going to go on to the other schools that had participated and they had winners submitted. And again, not all of these students were here to make it today. They have moving up day, they have ceremonies, they have field days. So you may not see everybody come up just because they're not all here, but we'll give them all a big round of applause. But if we could we hold it till the end just so we don't get confused with the kids and things, if that's okay. All right. So our first winner, Molly Pratt from Abraham Wing Elementary School. Again, if you look at it, very simple message. Your fortunes are good health. Excuse me. Your fortunes are good health when you stay tobacco free. Molly, that is an awesome message. Great work. Come on up and get your certificate. All right. You say, all right, we'll do that. All right. Give them all a hand. All right. Ava Perry, Big Cross Elementary School. You can see we covered everywhere. Vaping and smoking stinks. Do not vape or smoke. I think that's the one thing that, we were able to sell kids on before was that smoking stinks, and they know that. Vaping's gotten a little harder because of the smells, but it's still true. It stinks for a lot of reasons. So that was a very nice poster from Ava at Big Cross Elementary. All right. Adeline Sawyer. This is again Bolton. You can see we hit every corner of our county. No problem playing when you're nicotine free. I think we have to make kids aware that they aren't safe. They impact your abilities to perform and to be an athlete or to be a performer or to do the things you love to do. And they're getting that message. But we have to rebuild it because it was knocked down. Adeline Brayman, Bolton Central School again. Sports are a big thing. If you want to know what our kids are into today, sports can trump a lot of things. And this is one of those. So again, Adeline, we appreciate her poster. Alexis Stillman from Glens Falls Middle School, be tobacco free. She obviously enjoys Myrtle Beach. This is a hot air balloon flying over the beach. One of the other things we know is pollution from these types of devices is getting worse and worse, whether it's the batteries being left out, the discarded vapes. There's a lot of other things that go with these, not just the fact that they're nicotine, but the way they impact our environment. All right. Sadie Barthoff, Jackson Heights Elementary School. I forget, is Sadie here? That's not. So, okay. Alexis.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Alexis.
Oh, Alexis, you got to wave to. I'm sorry, Alexis. I didn't know you were. Just say I'm here. Somehow I missed you. My bad, Alexis. Remember, I don't know all of you, so if I miss you, just give me a wave. Say I'm here. I'm okay with that. Again, I don't know. This is kind of cool. Just the knight in shining armor. And for those who can't read it, it just talks about books and media and things being tobacco free as well. And that's another thing we talk about is movies, books, comics. All of these things can influence our kids, what they see. And so it's important to support efforts to eliminate tobacco when it's not necessary, whether it's in kids' movies or PG-13 movies, things like that. All right. Sadie, are you here? No, maybe didn't make it. Okay. Kinley Lawrence, Take a Leap, Be Tobacco Free, Johnsburg Central School. There she is coming up. Nice job. Great work. That's a pretty simple message. Adelaide Davenport, Lake George. This is Adelaide. Are you a horse person? You are. What a surprise. I couldn't tell. What do you do on the, do you ride? What do you ride? Equestrian, jumps, barrel racing. Are you? I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I was just curious. It's a great poster. All right. Easton Burke with North Warren Central Schools, stay tobacco free, throw a touchdown, pass just like me. Come on up, Easton. Easton, are you a quarterback? Do you want to be? Yeah. Adeline Raymond from North Warren Central School. Keep playing like me. And again, stay tobacco free. You can see these posters really reflect sports and the outdoors and the activities that they can do in a way that they wouldn't be able to if they're addicted to nicotine and tobacco products. Kennedy Dean from, again, William H. Barton, muscle, stay fierce like me by being tobacco free. Kennedy, give me a muscle. Yeah, there it is. I love it. Abigail Mahoney, again, another sports person, volleyball. Keep the air clean like me, stay tobacco free. Abigail, I don't think made it. Okay. And then, did I miss anybody? I don't think we did. We got all of ours. All right. So we are towards the end of our ceremony. Again, I want to thank everybody for giving us a little bit of time. Just really quick, a special thank you to our steward shops, Great Escape and Sky Zone for their donations. And on the right-hand side, I just wanted to show you the poster contest actually happened from the FDA as well. That is a poster that was created by a high school student from another state. And it just talks about, you know, how controlling nicotine is. And for those of you who don't know, we have heard stories of kids having to have vapes by their bed like a phone because it's waking them up in the middle of the night because of cravings. So when you hear these are not impacting kids or they're not very dangerous, ask somebody who's struggling with the nicotine addiction because they aren't like traditional cigarettes. Often the nicotine is stronger, more potent. The other problem is they don't know their rate of usage. There's no indicator like a pack of cigarettes, 22 cigarettes, when they're gone, they're gone. A vape, they can vape all the time. It's very easily hidden. And it comes down to us helping us all work together to make sure they understand the dangers and we restrict that access as much as possible. Again, we appreciate everybody's efforts. To the kids in the middle, one more round of applause. Thank you guys very much.
Great job, guys.
Hi, Molly.
How are you? Doesn't even know me.
Threatening him. One doctor says to me, go to the doctor, go to the hospital. I'm possible. I want to help the patient have.
Hey, Pat. Pat Belton.
62. 66. Well, I didn't know I got out just before it really started. I got into drinking and smoking.
Smile, big show me.
I do a big shot.
Oh, neither did I.
We're gonna take that down and see more pictures. Okay, thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Where we were.
I could tell these kids that. That's why I'm 80 now. Still in good shape. Let's see, pot one.
If you want, we'll head right back. to the
Smoke.
computers. Want to take pictures of the kids, you're welcome to take them.
And the Marines are 2-3 packs a day. Because we used to buy them 10 cents a pack on the base.
And you,
I had a couple of people that helped me way back when. One of them just tell you the story.
Thank you.
I know you respect.
Thank you so much.
But I work. I knew more about that stuff. Thank you. And that's how I stuck.
Yes,
Week
okay.
before graduation. And then-
Yes.
Superintendent school, I'll make a deal.
Next, I'm going to ask Supervisor Wild to introduce our student from, who recent graduate from SUNY Adirondack representing Warren County.
Actually, it's coming up 27th of June.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You know.
Last month or so, I had the opportunity to present in front of the SUNY graduation, and one of the obligations that came to me and a few others was to help select our student of excellence that we do every year. And in a second, I will introduce Stephanie Brown, who is our awardee. But I wanted just to read just one little passage from the proclamation that for a candidate to be considered, including overcoming, well, they have to demonstrate overcoming significant obstacles in the course of pursuing an education, demonstrating academic achievements, exhibiting motivation, tenacity, enthusiasm, and being a Warren County resident. When I spoke to Stephanie before the graduation, I was really impressed by her story. So I'm just going to be quiet for a minute. I'm going to let Stephanie address the board.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Brown, and yes, I am from SUNY Adirondack, and I live here right in the Adirondacks myself. I was a child of the foster care system here in Warren County. I will touch a little bit about that. I was born to two parents. One was addicted to hardcore drugs. The other was addicted to alcohol. They both were arrested. I was only 5 years old. I was put in the system and spent a big chunk of my childhood being in the foster care system. I was gratefully adopted by a very beautiful family, and I was very blessed. My biological sister is here with me. She was adopted as well. They kept me and my siblings together, which is very rare in the foster care system. They were the ones who raised us with adventures, family, a home, put us through school, therapy, and church. It was a very good way to be raised. Through them, I was able to be put in school in high school. I graduated high school and got my car and license and went right off here to SUNY Adirondack to chase my passion to be a social worker one day. I'm halfway there and received my associates recently at the SUNY Adirondack School. So yes, I'm very excited to be here today, and it is an honor to be nominated because I want every kid who has lived my story and been through what I've been through to just know they can do anything and to chase their dreams. And I really do believe every foster kid should have a success story. So thank you.
Just one other thing also. One of the things that Stephanie told me that she's going to be going for a degree in Plattsburgh for social work. And once she achieves that goal, she wants to come back to Warren County to help children that had the same experience that she has. So that really touched my heart. And thank you, Stephanie. Good luck.
So on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we have a certificate of excellence for Stephanie for graduating from SUNY Adirondack, and we really appreciate the hard work you put in, and we hope that you do come back to Warren County. So. Thank you. Thank you again. Okay, we'll open up for public comment. Anybody who wishes to address the board, please step up to the podium, state your name for the record.
He's like.
Yes, my name is David Lapel. My wife works at Elderwood Nursing Home in North Creek. As you know, Elderwood is still looking for their $2.5 million grant to stay open, even though it hasn't been in the public eye. That money is still needed. Those 100 people that work there are still at risk of losing their jobs, and the residents there are still at risk of losing their homes. On May 11th, the New York State Department of Health denied the funding request by Elderwood. They have reapplied, but according to Warren Cole, the owner of Elderwood, they are running out of money. On May 16th, Mr. Cole urged the community members to get the message out to key members of the state government in support of the facility. People up there have done that. The phone calls have been to everybody. Dan Stack's involved, Matt Simpson's involved. Everybody we can is get involved. With a little bit of prodding, we got the town of Johnsburg to pass a resolution. Even the town of Indian Lake has passed a resolution in support of Elderwood. Warren County needs to do this. These people need to know, the people have done all they can. We've contacted everyone we can. We've contacted Holcomb, Department of Health, you name it, the news media, we've talked to everybody. Now it's time for Board of Supervisors to pass a resolution, not a letter, a resolution. We need something with teeth to it as much as possible. It may not change things, but it needs to be kept in the public eye. It needs, the state of New York needs to know that there is still support for Elderwood because that nursing home is still at risk of being closed. If they lose this funding, it's over. As Mr. Cole said, what we need to do collectively is to make noise. We're making it now. We're still making it, but it needs to go farther than just the town of Johnsburg. Kathy Holcomb and the state of New York need to know that there is support for this nursing home and there needs to be a resolution from this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else wish to address the board? Okay, we'll go on to reports of committees. Chairman's report. Attended the May 14th Board of Supervisors meeting. Attended the May 15th AATV meeting in Essex, New York. On the May 20th, I went to North Creek for the groundbreaking ceremony of the new Ski Bowl Park Lodge. The 21st, 22nd, I attended committee meetings. On the 29th, I went to APA local government meeting in Long Lake with Supervisor Thomas. On the 20th, I attended legislative rules, personnel, and higher education, finance, and budget committee meetings. On June 2nd and 3rd, I attended AATV summer session in Lake Placid. On the 7th, I attended the personnel, finance, and budget meeting along with Washington County to pass the SUNY Adirondack budget. And then on the 10th, I attended the Board of Supervisors workshop on the Warren County Master Plan, which we found to be very informative and very good meeting. So Supervisor Driscoll, committee report.
Thank you, Chairman. Human Services Committee has no resolutions for today's meeting coming from the May 21st meeting. We will next convene on Tuesday, the 25th, next Tuesday. And we've got a couple of I think veterans and social services on that agenda. Cornell Cooperative Extension is here today. John Bowe distributed the program update, and that board will meet this coming Monday evening up in Warrensburg beginning at 6 p.m. Earlier this morning, I emailed the Board of Supervisors the social services update for the month of May that was prepared by Commissioner Nina Mastriani. Look for that on your emails. I attended a long list of meetings throughout the last month, but I'm also pleased to report that as both a representative of Catholic Charities, but also a member of the Board of Supervisors, I had the opportunity in the last couple of weeks to attend board meetings in Lake George, Chestertown, Warrensburg, Queensbury, and Thurman. I find my ability to attend those meetings are learning experiences. I get to meet their individual town board members, but also get a feel for the needs and concerns that other residents outside of Glens Falls are interested in. And I've got scheduled appointments at all of the other towns in the next 3 months. And again, thank you to those supervisors that hosted me, and that concludes my report.
Supervisor Paget, your report.
No report.
Supervisor Drossy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Criminal Justice, Public Safety and Emergency Services meeting last met on May 21st. As a result, before you today, you have resolutions 186 through 190 for your consideration. I ask for your support of those. Each one is just for authorization and execution of agreements. Our next meeting is this coming Tuesday, June 25th at 9 a.m. No further report.
Supervisor Bean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back on May 16th, I believe it was, I attended the APA board meeting, and read a resolution to the board, in support of Barton Mine, because they are still fighting for their permit from both the APA and the DEC. I also attended, the meeting with, Warren Cole, who is, one of the owners of Elderwood. And I would second Mr. LaPelle's suggestion that we do a resolution. This is an important facility for us in Johnsburg, 97 employees, and my fear is that it would take a great deal of time and energy to replace those jobs if we were to lose them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Crissati.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No report.
Supervisor Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tourism only has three resolutions, 196, 197, 198. They're just resolutions passing different materials, some tax information, and one, the new spending plan for the towns of Warren County. The only other note I have, I did attend a meeting yesterday. Actually, Mr. Teflon was there, Heather was there, and Ben was there. Of all business people, it was at the Queensbury Hotel. It was very interesting. A lot of suggestions were made how we can promote tourism better. And Heather and I had a conversation, and I also talked to John. We're going to make a couple of changes about how we promote the big events. That's what we're going to be moving forward to come up with some kind of a pamphlet that can be distributed to all hotels and restaurants and stuff of a whole year's worth of big events. And I think it'll be a successful program. And we have a tourism and OCTAX meeting this Tuesday, the 25th. Thank you, sir.
Supervisor Stroud.
Yes, thank you. The Legislative Rules and Governmental Operations Committee met on May 30th, and you have two resolutions before you today, 199 and 200. 199 is our approval of the request to discontinue Next Boat Agreement with Hart Interactive, and that's related to 200, which is asking you to approve the ESNS voter registration system as we move forward with newer and better techniques to assure integrity in our voting. I'm also here for Supervisor Ritu, who couldn't make it today. And the Economic Growth and Development Committee met on May 22nd, and there are 4 resolutions before you from that committee. The first one, 191, the county planner is requesting to submit a New York State Consolidated Funding application for local waterfront programs and community development programs for multiple projects. I'm hoping you approve that. 192, the county planner is requesting approval to submit a grant application to New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation, Office of Community Renewal for Community Development Block Grant funding under 2024 Public Infrastructure, Public Facilities and Community Planning Program to support county septic system replacement. 193 is to set a public hearing. It's setting a public hearing for July 19th, Board of Supervisors meeting right here. Warren County would be applying for $400,000 in funding to support septic system repairs. And this is to set a public hearing on that matter. 194 is authorizing the chair of the Warren County Board of Supervisors to confirm the action taken by Warren and Washington County's Industrial Development Agency in regards to the agreement for the purchase and development of Afram's Adirondack Dome in the town of Queensbury. Those, that's my report for those two committees. Thank you.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. On the 29th of May, Personnel, Higher Education and Administration met. There's 4 resolutions in front of the board today that I request your support for. 201, that's HR and planning positions. There's some modifications. 202 is to appoint a Washington County representative to the IDA. 203 is the SUNY Adirondack 5-year internship agreement so that we can have some SUNY students be interns here at Warren County. And 204 is a settlement to claims against Continental Insurance. And that's all I have to report for today, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor McGowan.
No report.
Supervisor Strainer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Services met on May 21st, and from that, we have one resolution, 195. And that is to enact a budget to include reforms for determining the capacity of a defendant to stand trial. Thank you.
Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance and Budget met on May 30th. In your packet are several resolutions, 12, I think altogether. Resolutions 184 is supplemental appropriations. Most of it's transfers within budgets. We are spending $42,650 out of the contingent fund. Resolution 185 is amending the 2024 budget with the revenues that have been received since the first of the year. Then we have resolutions 205 through 215. 205 is appropriating $13,832 from A896, the vehicle reserve, to various departments. 206 is canceling or correcting assessments and refunds and chargebacks. 207 is deleting outstanding taxes on a parcel in Queensbury for the amount of $740.66. 208 is establishing 2 road fund projects at $450,000. Resolution 209 is appropriating $20,000 to the Board of Elections from the computer reserve. Resolution 210 is appropriating $300,000 from the general fund balance to pay criminal procedure law 730 competency exams. This is the Community Services Department, Mental Health. And as Supervisor Strainer mentioned, Resolution 195, I think it explains what the problem is. Last year, it cost the county approximately $800,000. This year, I think we're on par for a couple million for these competency exams. In the past, the state used to pay 50%, and that resolution is requesting that the state go back to the 50% cost. And also there's several other reforms within that resolution. I think that 195 is very important. Resolution 211 appropriates $326,000 from the general fund balance to capital project H434 railroad repairs. Resolution 212 transfers $319,000 from the railroad reserve A899 to the capital project H434. Resolution 213 establishes the capital project H434. Resolution 214 establishes the capital project H433 Thriving Hamlets at $135,592.15. This was from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Smart Growth program through planning. And the last one, Resolution 215, introduces and sets a public hearing on a tentative 24-25 SUNY Adirondack budget. Warren County share of that proposed budget is $2,507,295. That's my report.
Supervisor Runyon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No.
Supervisor Conover.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment on the what the budget officer was saying relative to the railroad right of way that effectively wipes out whatever fund balance we have in that railroad capital account. And I think it was years to get to that, even what we have, that 300 and some odd $1,000. The other half is coming from our fund balance. there will be a discussion regarding the right of way at the Public Works Committee meeting, and I just suggest anyone interested in that right of way might want to attend that meeting. And here there'll be a report by the county attorney relative to where things stand. Thank you.
Supervisor Meady.
I'd just like to comment on Ben showing up at our meeting in Chestertown, and it's greatly appreciated. The information that he provides is very useful, so that's all.
Supervisor Dime.
No reports.
Supervisor Gilligan.
No report.
Supervisor Turner.
Thank you. June is Pride Month, and on June 2nd, we had a festival opening with Lower Adirondack Pride. And it was in City Park in Glens Falls, and it was very well attended, and I was honored to be one of the speakers giving opening remarks.
Thank you. Supervisor Bruno.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. County facilities met on Wednesday, May 22nd, 9 a.m. There were no resolutions resulting from that meeting, but I'll just touch on a couple of points that were discussed. One with the design updates to the front entrance of the municipal center. And the first item to be addressed there will be the steps at the front entrance, along with some drainage issues. Second was the magnetometer at DMV. We're still investigating possible installations there and the cost. Additionally, we had a brief discussion regarding improvements to the boardroom, and we'll continue with that. And lastly, there was a brief update provided relative to the Floyd Bennett Memorial Airport. We have reapplied to host the air show. I don't know if you recall, we discussed that air show a couple of times here. And we are looking to possibly host that air show in 2026. Our next meeting is a week from today at 9 a.m. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Report of County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So May through July, I'm conducting check-in sessions, quarterly check-in sessions with the department heads. We talk about a lot of issues, performance included, and they're usually very productive. 16th, 17th of May, I attended a county administrators conference in Syracuse. It's the county administrators who are appointed. There are 23 counties that have appointed county administrators with mostly boards of supervisors. We primarily discussed the 2024 New York State budget. Key takeaways were the state spending continues to increase at an unsustainable rate, largely driven by increasing state costs and Medicaid funding, a large portion of that they pass on to the counties. States expected to receive $27 billion less in federal funds through 2028. And the bottom line result is the counties are now at increased risk for cost sharing or outright funding of state mandated programs. 20th of May, attended an IDA board meeting. Supervisor Stroud mentioned that Afram Sports of Albany has purchased the Dome Sports Complex in Queensbury. They have two other Albany area related sports complexes, and they have pretty aggressive plans to improve and expand fields around the Dome. So we should be hearing more about that. 20 through 22 May, we had our highway safety days at the county fairgrounds in Warrensburg. It was well attended by county highway workers from across the county. So appreciate the support on that and the great work by our self-insurance team in sponsoring it. 7th of June, there's a joint personnel and finance meeting with Washington County. You have the resolution to consider SUNY Adirondacks budget for next year. It's a reduction of 2.6% from the previous year. Student tuition will pay almost 40% of the expenses with tuition. You know, you recall that we're talking about it should be 1/3 state, 1/3 sponsors, and 1/3 students from tuition, and we are still on track to reach our 1/3 percentage by 2028. The budget is introduced today set the public hearing for our July meeting. 10th of June, board workshop on broadband and comprehensive plan. Appreciate everyone's support for that. We all thought that was a very productive meeting, and the team thanks you for that. 11th of June, we had a risk management steering committee, identified actions that will be taken by our contractor, Needham Risk Management. On the 11th of June, I attended the triple chamber mixer at the Sagamore. And I have to tell you that many people I talked to, our residents, citizens of Warren County, expressed real appreciation for actions of the Board of Supervisors. There were good comments on all of the work you're doing this year. So thanks for that. And I have to tell you, our department heads feel the same way. They appreciate the professionalism and support they've been getting in the committee meetings. 12th of June, had a National Grid rate proposal meeting, and you'll be hearing more about this at the committee meeting. Some counties have passed resolutions asking the governor not to consider the rate increase that National Grid has asked for. If approved, the new rates take effect in the spring of 2025. So we will be discussing that at upcoming committee meetings.
You're done?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, I'll stop. Oh, well, no, I have to do the, sure. County clerk's pushing me along, so. All right, I'll do the employee, okay, I'll do the employee anniversary report. Kathy Hutchins, Office for the Aging, 20 years. Jeff Waddell, Weights and Measures, 22 years. Brandy French, Countryside Adult Home, 22 years. Corbin Kelly, Probation, 22 years. Jamie Smith, Countryside Adult Home, 23 years. Samuel Brote, DPW, 24 years. Rob York, Mental Health, 25 years. Jason Carosone, our DA, 25 years. Tammy DiLorenzo, Assistant County Administrator, 27 years. Julie Butler, Purchasing Department, 29 years. Patricia Belden, Pat Belden, you saw earlier from Public Health, 34 years. And Scott McLaughlin, Telecommunications, 34 years. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And report of County Attorney, Robert Twigger here, and are you going to keep it short?
I'm going to keep it real short. Good morning. I'm covering for County Attorney Elman today, and Mr. Elman will be able to deliver a report at the next meeting. Thank you.
We understand you had an addition to the office down there. Ryan Dickey's wife?
Oh, yeah, we do. We have, Ryan Dickey, one of our assistant county attorneys, his wife had baby number 2, Jordan Dickey, born on just this past Tuesday, and mom and baby are doing fine.
So there we
All
go.
good. Yeah.
Thank you. Reading communications.
We have the county auditor's May 2024 report of real property tax corrections. Washington County Board of Supervisors Resolution number 161 of 2024, which appoints a member to the counties of Warren and Washington Industrial Development Agency and Civic Development Corporation. And we received 2 notices of public hearing from Fitzgerald Morris Baker Firth. The first is for the Spring City Development Group's 36 Elm Street, 41 South Street, and 45 South Street projects. And the other was for the 326 Sherman Avenue Associates Afram's Adirondack Dome project.
Okay. That's it. Reading of resolutions.
Yep, resolution numbers 184 through 215 and floor resolution numbers 1 through 4 were posted to the Warren County website and distributed to the members of the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, June 11th. Proclamation numbers 22 through 25 were posted and distributed on June 18th. The proclamations before you are number 22, Alzheimer's Awareness Month, number 23, PTSD Awareness Month, number 24, Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and 25 was the Warren County Board of Supervisors SUNY Adirondack Certificate of Excellence Award. A motion is needed to bring the floor resolutions to the floor. So there's, the first one is number 1.
Okay, motion to bring floor resolution number 1 by Supervisor Bean, second by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay, Okay, floor resolution number 1 will now be number 216. Motion is needed to bring floor resolution number 2 to the floor.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 2 to the floor by Supervisor Molino. Do we have a second? Supervisor Turner, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Floor resolution number 2 will now be resolution number 217. Motion is needed to bring floor resolution number 3 to the floor.
Motion by Supervisor Runyon to bring floor resolution number 3. Do we have a second? Supervisor Bruno, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Floor resolution number 3 is now resolution number 218, and a motion is needed to bring floor resolution number 4 to the floor.
Motion bring number 4, Supervisor Gerasi, second by Supervisor Runyon. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Floor resolution number 4 is now 219.
219. Okay. Any recusals from any resolutions? Anybody need to recuse themselves? Seeing none. Public discussion and comment on proposed resolutions. Anybody from the public wish to comment on any of the proposed resolutions? Any board discussion on proposed resolutions? Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. 194. That resolution is the IDA giving tax incentives for the dome. I support this resolution, but I wanted to bring it up to the board because this board and the ARPA committee decided to give the prior owner of this over $200,000. I did ask during the process, and I voted against it, but I did ask that we dig into the financials to truly understand what we were doing and what the nature of that business was. We denied, or I denied that.
Yeah.
I was denied that request. And so far, we now realize that what I was suspecting was true, that organization is sold. That $200,000+ that we gave, my sense, it probably just turned into someone's pocket. So we need to be careful going forward. But I still do support this resolution because it is an asset that helps our county. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussions on any other resolution? Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, I'd like to counter on that. I was not in favor of Supervisor Wild bringing it up before, not knowing probably the depth of the financialness of operating and running that dome. And I stood by it and I voted for it, and I take really great offense of him bringing this up again in a way of trying to slander someone that has worked so hard to keep a business surviving and had an opportunity to sell, which there was no money, but I can guarantee you that no money was pocketed.
Any other discussion, on any other resolutions?
And
Supervisor,
also, I just want to make it aware that for let me find it. 201 from the Personnel and Higher Administration. I didn't have an opportunity to speak that day because I was denied access to speak from being in the public. But this was all brought on with the retirement of someone, which was supposed to be a large cost savings for the county. But ever since this retirement, all we've done was seen changes in positions which gave increases for wages. So, we were introduced that this was going to be a large savings, but in the final run, since it's only been 3 months, that every month there seems to be another increase in cost. So I just wanted to make it aware, sometimes things are a little bit hidden. And like I said, unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to speak twice. I was denied access. So I just wanted to bring it attention to the board. Thank you.
we need to clarify that statement, John. There's no increase.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just reclassifying a couple of jobs in that department as they've gone through their restructuring and combining civil service and human resources, but there are no increased costs associated with these.
I thank you for that, John, but, to me, it's a smokescreen because there were raises that were giving out and even though it was a classification, it's a smokescreen of being able to give people more money. So, thank you.
And we have one other resolution.
I did receive an email from Rob York of the Office of Community Services, before the meeting asking that resolution number 195 be withdrawn and sent back to committee. That's the one, calling for the enacted budget for the state to include reforms for determining the capacity of a defendant to stand trial. He had some issues with the language that's in that resolution, so he asked that it be withdrawn, sent back to committee for revision, and then brought back through again.
Supervisor Wild, you had your hand up for.
Yes, I do. Just one other resolution that I would request a roll call on also. That's 198. And this is tourism distribution to the municipalities. As I look at it, it's an additional $450,000 going to Lake George Village, Lake George Town, Queensbury, Bolton. $450,000 in addition to the regular 25% distribution. You probably all heard me say this before, but there's many things that we need to do in the county to expand our tourism. I think what we need to do is think strongly about where that money goes. $450,000, if I'm not mistaken, would really help our tourism department do some of the things that they want to do, because from what the chairman of tourism told me yesterday, is that they're running a deficit right now. So I would hope that everybody seriously considers this. Maybe the supervisors that are going to benefit for this should recuse themselves also, but I don't expect that to happen. But I would really appreciate everybody starting to give a critical thought in terms of what we do with our tourism dollars and think about the future and the future that we're going to leave as once we leave this board. And what is it going to look like? Are we going to expand our tourism seasons? Or are we just going to keep on doing the same thing over and over again? Mr. Chairman, thank you. And hopefully we can get that for a roll call.
We do need a motion to withdraw resolution 195. So somebody, Supervisor Runyon, second by Supervisor Stringer, to withdraw resolution 195. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Here. Any other comments or discussions on any other resolutions?
Okay, whatever.
Okay, let's vote on resolution.
Was yours being a roll call?
Supervisor Paget.
I just had a question on 198, resolution 198. How is the distribution of funds that I'm seeing on the back calculated for each town and city?
$198.
You want me to take a shot at it? The back in 2018, I believe we first did this spending plan. And what it was is some of this is distributed on the amount of money taken in by the towns. So the village of Lake George and the town of Lake George take in a good bulk of the occupancy tax money. So 75,000 was distributed to both the town and the village to work together to offset more events in their community. So that's how we arrived at the 150 for, and if I'm wrong, somebody speak up, but that's how we arrived at the $150,000 for the town of Lake George and the village of Lake George. The second two communities that generate the most occupancy tax money is the town of Bolton and the town of Queensbury, because they have the most other hotel rooms in the county. So they were given $60,000 each in that spending plan put forth. I think it was 2015, maybe I'm wrong, but anyways. And then the remaining towns, which were all the rest, were to get, initially they got 15,000. We had since raised it up to 20,000, and that augments the amount of money by the formula that was put forth in 2004 when they voted in this law into effect. So it's a little supplement to each community to host their events, extra events. And so far, it seems to have helped. I know it's helped my community. We're able to give a little more to our host events. And then the game plan is to have the communities give the money out without having people come into the committee down here at the county and ask for money. So it's either pay me here or pay me there, but it was to make all these events come to your community, and rather than come to Warren County and say, give me $10,000 or $5,000 or $15,000, depends on the event. And they would come to the town, and the town would give the money to the events. That's the initial way it was set up back in 2015. We've had it in the budget some years. A couple of times it was taken out of the budget. And now we're asking to put it back in the budget for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but I believe this is a supplemental. It's an additional payment of the 25% of all the occupancy tax that we get gets distributed to the towns. So I don't have my data in front of me. I apologize for that. But if I'm not mistaken, these 4 towns that are listed on this resolution already get occupancy tax in excess of $1.5 million. This is an additional funds, and I'm not sure why it's happening, because the 25% that goes to the towns and gets distributed to all the towns is based on the total take of occupancy tax. And one of the things that we forget is that we've done quite a bit of work in terms of identifying short-term rentals that we're not paying occupancy tax, and it's generated over $1 million more in occupancy tax. So the towns are actually getting more than they were prior to this effort. So now I have a hard time saying you're getting an extra $250,000, and I don't want to call out all the towns or anyone specifically, but it's another $450,000 that the county could use for some other significant events, to take our shoulder seasons or do something more in the winter to expand, because our tourism industry in the summertime is really dependent upon the weather. We're basically sold out in a good part of the center of the tourism scene, the summertime. So by generating this additional money, how are we helping our off season? That's my question. I'd like to know where the money's going. I know that there's projects that everyone would like to have done, but as members that represent the county as a whole, we shouldn't be thinking about the individual towns. We should be thinking about what are we doing to influence and support the expansion of our tourism industry. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Mr. Conover and then Mr. Stroud.
Yeah, I'm not challenging my colleagues' veracity here, but nothing prevents him or has prevented him from advancing any project or program or event his entire time here on this board. And he has something that he thinks is an important priority for the county, he can advance that at any time. And not only can advance it at the county level, he can come down to the towns, including the city, and advance it. Now, if you really want to roll the clock back, this supplement was originally part of a package that existed when the city of Glens Falls came to us for $250,000 help for what's now called Cool Arena. And so a package was put together that included the $250,000 for Cool Arena and the amount of dollars that are shown here, the $400,000 for the towns. Now, at that time, we didn't have a complete crystal ball on this, but we thought that that commitment should at least be for 3 years. But since the funding stream has been strong, we continued that. And we also included in the supplement Glens Falls, which is also included in the supplement, even though we were giving them the $250,000. Now, since then, this has trailed that bigger package for some reason. I don't know why.
It was in the budget, it got taken out of the budget. I'm not interested in chasing how it came out of the budget. We took it out of the budget or whatever. But what's interesting about all of this is that as somebody that oversees a community that represents upwards of 30% of this program, it would seem to me that it's the people that are really the boots on the ground that are really making this happen on a day-to-day basis. And that's not to undermine or suggest that the county doesn't do good work. They do in terms of broader advertising. So, and I can tell you as it relates to, and Queensbury would be another community that produces close to a 30%, 26% of the total revenue. Outside of those municipalities, the percentages are much smaller. And I can tell you that Lake George has put these funds to very good use along with the village. They have a combined group. We have an advisory group as well at our local level. So that's the history on this. And but as far as my colleague, if he has some ideas going to the future, I'm sure this board or any municipality would be more than happy to hear those proposals or those concerns of how to improve our activities going forward. We have visitor centers, we have museums, we have so many different things and activities that we do to do what we do in Bolton. I know Queensbury is the same way. And in fact, Queensbury uses some of its funding to fund activities outside of Queensbury. And I think they put their funds to very good use as well. And that's really all I have to say on this. I mean, it's a nominal amount, I think, against the whole program. I would be the last one to suggest that these funds or the funds for Cool Arena should be withdrawn. I think they're being put to good use. And I think the additional funding that the Glens Falls receives is being put to good use. And many of the municipalities have included these funds in their operating budgets because they expected to receive these funds. I know a number of the supervisors said, well, I programmed this revenue in my budget. So it would seem to me that if you're going to withdraw the funding, you should do it in a manner that coincides with our budgeting process, so we know whether we're going to receive these funds or not. And so that would be the correct way of doing it, not just deleting it from the budget and then nobody knows it's been deleted. I don't know if the city of Glens Falls includes about $15,000 in their operating budget. My guess is they may have. We're counting on that. I know some of the towns contacted me, said that, you know, I'm not going to get these dollars. I had them in my budget as a revenue. So I would say to my colleagues, if you're looking to cut the funding for these funds and or Cool Arena or anything else, there's a way of doing that. And if the majority of this board thinks that that's a fine idea, then that's how it'll be. Thank you.
Supervisor Trout.
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm going to disagree with my fellow Queensbury supervisor, Mike Wild, and friend.
That it is.
There's two reasons why we have this allocation. One is logistics, the other is sensitivity. So let's talk about logistics. A lot of the things that Queensbury helps to support financially with this allocation of OCTAC are mutual events. The city of Glens Falls and the town of Queensbury work very closely to try and assure that our residents and our visitors, and I'm going to emphasize visitors, that come to our area for some of these events. For example, the Glens Falls Symphony. Glens Falls and Queensbury support that. So on July 3rd, you're going to see a huge, wonderful event, fireworks, everything. That is financially supported by the city and the town. But then you have your cultural institutions like the Chapman Museum and the Hyde Museum and the World Children Awareness Museum. They are supported by Glens Falls and Queensbury. But then you have the Adirondack Theater, again, supported by Glens Falls and Queensbury. And I could go on. Are all those items something that the county wants to deal with? Because at one time, they were shoved on the county's lap along with the list that's like this of other requests, which are generally regional in nature. These are more specific, but nevertheless, they're still important. Because a lot of people visit our area for our cultural events. We're very blessed to have these museums, to have the Glens Falls Symphony, and they only exist because we financially helped to support them. Okay. So two things, the logistics, if you take it away from us, that's going to dump it into the lap of the county and the tax committee and the board of supervisors. I don't know if that's of your best interest for these smaller activities, which we'll take care of locally. But locally, you also have a better sensitivity as to what is important and what is working in terms of attracting visitors to our area. I think that sensitivity on the local level can't be matched by the generic board of supervisors. So I think the funding scheme that we have now has worked very well. And why would you try and fix something that's not broke? Thank you.
Supervisor Casito, did you want to speak to this?
Yeah, I'm going to end up repeating a lot that was said, but I respectfully disagree with Supervisor Wild and happy to discuss more. But if there are any big events countywide, I certainly like to hear about them. And I certainly still support the Joseph Warren Museum also. But for example, the 150,000 that is split, that comes as joint to the town and the village of Lake George. There's so many small events that if that's taking away from us, they're going to disappear. We have fireworks every Thursday night. There's concerts in the park every week. Now we have Winter's Dream to contend with, and they're putting an application in for joint money. There's so many events in Lake George that have a substantial impact on the county itself that are struggling a little bit. And if you went to yesterday's meeting at the Queensberry Hotel, which I did not go, I know Supervisor Molino went, and a lot of those events that we take for granted that have a big impact, that are inside of Lake George, the town and the village of Lake George that we support. We need control of those funds to help support them, going forward. So, I ask, please consider all that.
Any other discussion on this resolution? Supervisor McGowan.
Yeah, just some clarification, because, sometimes I get lost understanding all this, but this is an additional money that Arctax wants to hand out to the towns, correct? Above and beyond the already agreement that we have. It's a question. Can someone answer that for me?
This is reinstituting the spending plan that was in the budget that started in 2015. I think they called it the spending plan. It's been in and out and in and out. It was taken out of the budget this year. Unbeknownst that we didn't really have a discussion about that, it was taken out the tourism budget. There's been questions about why, and they want to reinstitute it because, as Supervisor Conover stated, some towns had budgeted for the extra money in their town budgets, didn't know that it was being taken out of the county budget, I guess. That's the way I understand it.
So is this the additional money? I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I know that the towns were supposed
This
to
is
get.
addition to the 25%.
All
That's
right,
in the
so
law.
addition. So it was taking out and we had towns that put it in their budget even though it was taken out?
It's my understanding some towns may have budgeted for it, not knowing that the spending plan was coming out.
Because my concern is coming up, is just reading, is Winter Realm decided not to come back. I get them confused. Winter Dreams, Winter Realm.
Correct.
Which is the one that's not coming back that was on
The ice castles is not coming. back.
Right. Ice Castles. All right, is that something that maybe Warren County wants to look into? Not as large, but like the skating rink, you know, how successful is that? Is that something, should we maybe pull this back and give it a little bit more thought before we just, since we have extra money, just handing it out? The tourism department, I believe my colleague when he says that, you know, we could use some more money in the tourism department and expanding that. I mean, just because we have a little extra doesn't mean we just give it away immediately. Maybe we need to figure a few things out. So I'm gonna stay with my colleague from Queensbury here, and you know, I have concerns over it.
Supervisor Conover and Supervisor Runyon.
The answer to the question is yes, it is supplemental, as is the money that we give to the Pool Arena for 250 is supplemental, as is the 5-year capital, $100,000 a year that we gave to City of Glens Falls for Pool Arena. That's supplemental. The improvements that were made to the inside of the building, I forget the name of it, what they call that, the
Heritage Hall.
Heritage Hall, supplemental. And the answer to your question is yes, those are supplemental dollars. And these modest amount of dollars were originally part of all of that. And that's how the arrangement began. And I think the history is important here. And I've been a complete supporter of the city of Pool Arena on all of its requests. As have many of the supervisors in this room, maybe all. And so why all of a sudden this becomes topical is kind of interesting to me. But you know, why withdraw these supplemental? Why don't you withdraw all the supplemental? You're concerned about the supplemental, withdraw all of it. Every penny of it. I don't recommend that. I think that's a destabilizing thing to do. I don't think it promotes consensus of the board moving forward. There isn't anything we do today that we can't undo going forward. Thank you.
Supervisor Runyon.
Thank you. One of the first questions we ask someone who wants occupancy funds is, have you applied to the town? We do that not knowing what their town amount that's left over is. So if there was a way that we could determine, do you have excess funds? And if you are relying on this money, it wasn't in the budget this year. So it's going to have to come out of their contingency or their unreserved or whatever. But the towns, if they put it in their budget and they are going to need it, they can come in and apply just like the other towns applied for extra money. I think the important part right now is it's not in the budget. So where's it going to come from? They don't have this money right now. Right? Am I right? They don't have the money.
Who doesn't have them?
The occupancy tax committee or?
I'm gonna ask the administrator to respond to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So basically, the spending plan, as it's been called, has been paid out for, like the chairman said, since 2015, but in particular, the last 3 years, the same amounts. It was an oversight this year because you had a new county administrator and a new director of tourism. As we went into the budget, we weren't really sure what spending plan meant. So we removed it from the budget as we went through the budget process. And then we found out later that it had been something that the towns had been expecting. And so we agreed, yeah, we have the money to fund it. We don't have the money today maybe to fund it, but we're not planning to fund it until September. And by September, we'll have the receipts that come in over the summer where the biggest amount of occupancy tax is. So this was just restoring what was already there. Going forward, we might need to have a discussion about it, and we can discuss that at the OCTAX committee, I think, going forward. Thank you.
So I think we really, Supervisor Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look at these appropriations on the back of the page and I completely support the appropriations. I would actually ask that we increase the appropriations to the communities and let the communities do a lot of the legwork on appropriating monies to what they feel is warranted within their communities. If we take the Pool Arena back in 2015 and 16, it was hemorrhaging money. It was at a point where it probably would have closed if we didn't have the community coalition involved and come in and to help the Civic Center to survive. I also look at the investment that the county has made into it. It's been a serious investment, but it's paid dividends. If you look at the results of the arena now, it's doing better than it ever has in the past. And I thank the county for their contributions to coming to the aid of the city of Glens Falls in that regard. But I also look at some of the monies being appropriated through the occupancy tax committee, which I sat on and voted for. And I questioned today whether those were good investments or not. There's a history here by giving the monies to the communities because they dealt the money out. And I personally think we ought to increase those appropriations to each community, give them a little bit more money, let them handle the legwork that's involved in appropriating monies to what they feel is important in their community. So I will wholeheartedly support this resolution today.
Can we end the discussion on that one? And we'll go on to the next one.
Mr. Chairman, one more.
Last word.
My intent isn't to cause chaos. This is a debate that's been going on for a while. It probably should continue. My only reason for doing this is to say that we need to look deep at what we're doing today and can we do something better? I appreciate what my peers that run towns do. There's no way I can understand everything that you do. And there's trust in that because we don't do audits. We respect what you do and we expect results. But it's important to say, where are we going in the future? We have this influx of short-term rental money. We also have a potential another $1 million of influx coming this year for the work that the treasurer's office is doing. So let's try to grab some of that money and say, we want to do some other big things. That's my only thought. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to my peers.
Vote on resolution. That was the last word. Do you have another resolution?
Well, no, I just had one comment.
Real quick.
All right, yes. I was brought up, never count your chickens before they hatch.
Thank you. Any discussion on any other resolutions? Let's vote on resolutions.
Excuse me, resolution number 184, making supplemental appropriations. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer is absent for the moment, Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan. Yes. Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 824 votes in favor. Resolution number 185, amending Warren County budget for 2024 for various departments within Warren County. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan. Yes. Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 824 votes in favor. Resolution 198. Approving the 2024 occupancy tax spending plan for municipalities and authorizing agreements for tourism promotion and tourism and convention development services. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
No.
Mr. Stroud,
Yeah.
Mr. Wild,
No.
Mr. McGowan,
No.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
No.
Ms. Runyon,
No.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan. Yes. Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 659 votes in favor. Resolution 201, amending table of organization in Warren County salary and compensation plan for 2024. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan. Yes. Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. Resolution 205, authorizing appropriation of funds from the vehicle reserve to Department of Public Works, Health Services, Department of Social Services, and countryside adult home budgets. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. Resolution 208, establishing 2024 road fund projects and amending Warren County budget for 2024. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. Resolution 209, authorizing the appropriation of funds from the computer reserve to the Board of Elections budget. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. Resolution 210, authorizing appropriation of funds from the general fund unappropriated fund balance to the Office of Community Services budget. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy.
Yeah.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. Resolution 211, authorizing appropriation of funds from the general fund unappropriated fund balance to the railroad budget. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
No.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 824 votes in favor. Resolution 212, authorizing appropriation of funds from the county railroad repairs reserve to capital project H 434. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
No.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 824 votes in favor. Resolution 213, establishing capital project H 434 railroad repairs. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
No.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runyon,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 824 votes in favor. Resolution 214, establishing capital project H 433 Thriving Hamlets. Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy.
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Crusito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
Yes.
Mr. Wild.
Yes.
Mr. McGowan,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Ms. Runner,
Yes.
Runyon, sorry, Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 913 votes in favor. You just need a collective.
Need a collective. All those in favor of the other resolution, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Open back up privilege floor and public comment. Anybody who wish to address the board on any subject before we close?
Again, my name is David LaPel. I have the privilege every month of teaching an after-school history club at North Warren Central School that is open from fifth graders on the way up to seniors. And my first class was on Joseph Warren. And I hate to say it, but the county missed a huge opportunity by losing that museum because the artifacts are on their way to Connecticut and then they'll be in Boston in 2027. So they're gone. A good chance they'll never be back here again. Dr. Warren is a very interesting character, his founding father. He also was responsible for recruiting Paul Revere on his ride to Concord to get, and then Dr. Warren himself left Boston under the cover of secrecy and helped lead the militia against the British and darn near almost took the musket ball to the head. And a museum up here, granted, it doesn't look good on paper because everybody thinks of museums as stuffy and boring. I've been going to museums since I was a teenager. I can show you pictures of Fort Ticonderoga 20 years ago. And Fort Ticonderoga 20 years ago versus now is two different places. A museum for Dr. Warren would have been something that this town and this county could have looked, especially given the fact that that's Dr. Warren's name and picture and likeness on there. It isn't just anybody. He's important enough that this county was named after him in 1813, 38 years after he died. And he died at Bunker Hill. He was enlisted as a brigadier general, but he died a private because he wanted to fight alongside his men. If someone like that does not deserve recognition, who does? He was a founding father. He was one of the first real American heroes of the Revolution. And with the Revolution, all the museums up here are doing 250th anniversaries of the American Revolution. And we lost an opportunity in this county, a big one, because we lost the opportunity for the Joseph Warren Museum, and we're most likely never going to get it back. So what I suggest is, and we keep talking about, and I keep hearing about tourism, bringing tourists here. I can tell you by teaching these kids every single month, I get more and more and more kids. And these are not teenagers. These are little kids. They're thirsty for history, especially regional history, American history. They are hungry for that. A museum would have done well here. Maybe not at the very beginning, but I guarantee you, like I said, I can show you pictures of Fort Ticonderoga. They didn't do well at the beginning either. They've been around a long time. And even 20, 30 years ago, they were nowhere near as big as Fort Ticonderoga is now. And now they're opening up a brand new center, another building. And it keeps expanding. And then I can tell you, I go to enough reenactments and events every summer. There are more and more reenactments on the calendar up here every single year. Fort Edward has got more at Rogers Island. Fort Ticonderoga has expanded their winter programs in the last couple of years. Why? Because there's an interest in it. And there was an interest, and there still is an interest. But again, we could have had a museum here for not just anybody, a founding father, but also the person that this county is named after. That was important. People in 1813 thought it was important, but apparently it wasn't important enough to build a museum here. Thank you.
Any other comments? Supervisor Trout.
Yeah, well, I want to write on that. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Joseph Warren, June would be Joseph Warren month, I guess, because he was born June 11th, 1741. And he passed away 6 days into his 34th birthday, June 17th, 1775. And all that he accomplished in his brief lifetime are noteworthy. We have not given up on the museum idea, at least I have not. I would like to see this come to fruition someday. I did dedicate all of my Joseph Warren materials to the Warren County Historical Society, so they still have some substantial materials dedicated and portraying the life of Joseph Warren. Now, Shane Newell has taken his place, but he also said that he would come back should things change. So perhaps we can take a look at the expenses that were involved in the first time, see where we can substantially trim those expenses, and maybe come back someday with a Joseph Warren Center, a Joseph Warren Museum. But again, thank you for bringing that up.
Any other announcements? Superintendent Strainer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder that there's going to be a celebration for Bill Kenny at Crandall Park on June 29th at 1 p.m. For you, those of you that don't remember, Bill was a supervisor here for many years, and he was one of the hardest working supervisors that we ever had. So if you get a chance to go, that would be nice. I want to congratulate the Queensbury girls and boys lacrosse teams. They both won the Foothills. They both won the Section 2. They lost to a tougher team and same school in the regionals, but congratulations to them. I'd also like to show a little appreciation to the Queensbury High School seniors who donated 2 hours of their time to do different community projects, help different organizations. It was a nice thing that they have done, and congratulations to them. And my favorite is the Thunder. We were one of the 4 best teams in the league this year, actually in the whole league. We lost the semifinals, but there was a lot of good things that went on. And one of them was they raised through the 50-50 to different school organizations and other things, $117,000 went to these people. They had a huge veterans night where they gave, I think they raised another $30,000 for them. They had 17 sellouts. We're the smallest municipality with a team in the league. Of course, they only count Glens Falls. We're pretty much Queensbury and a few others too. But also the players. The players were kind young men who went and did all kinds of different promotional things for the Thunder. I can't tell you how many kids get so excited to get their autographs from each of these players. And they unselfishly went out into the public and did this, just a great thing. And the staff at the Civic Center, led by Jeff Mead, they're phenomenal. I don't know if anybody's bought tickets from Ben Driscoll's son, Sean, but he never forgets a face. He's very, very good. Just a wonderful thing that's happened there. So the Civic Center, when we were talking earlier about the tourism money, the bed tax, that's $250,000 in my estimation. It's well worth it. And I'd just like to thank the coalition. They're led by Dan Burke, and the other members are Ed Moore, Elizabeth Miller, Mark Monahan, Clay Ashworth, Nick Cayamano, Pete Fitzgerald, Doug Kenyon, Claude Loisel, Anthony Mashuda, Elizabeth Mahoney, Tom Murphy, Bob Niemer, Fred Vogel, and Sarah Wright. These are people that have helped create the new Civic Center that's now starting to turn a profit. And these are all leaders in our community, and they do this for free. So I want to thank them, because without their help, just as Jack had said, it was dying on the vine, and they brought new life. They brought a great attitude, and it's going very well. And other than that, I think I'm done.
Okay, anybody else? Well, I've got a whole bunch of hands,
Go
so
ahead.
ladies first. So Deb, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't have my hand up.
Oh, okay. I thought it was- Who had their?
Your hand looks like Frank.
Thank you. I just wanted to touch for a minute on broadband. I attended that workshop on June 10th, and about half of that was devoted to broadband in Warren County. Now, we talk often about retaining young people in the county to stay here and work. And I'll tell you what, in this day and age, without good broadband, you're not going to do it. That's one of the keys. And at that workshop, I asked the question, this was presented at the workshop, that on November 15, 2021, President Biden signs the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act into law. This act allocates $65 billion with a B for broadband connectivity. $42.5 billion of this is set aside for states and territories to the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, BEAD, another nice acronym, program. Each state received an initial $100 million. Additional funding will be distributed based on a formula considering the number of unserved and high-cost locations in each state. So I asked at that time, 42.5 billion, huge amount of money. Now, this was allocated. I don't know that it was appropriated, but $100 million to the state, if in fact the state got that. I asked, where's that money gone? I don't see the results. We talk about broadband connectivity in Warren County. We've been talking about it for years, right? And I'm not sure how much it has improved over those years. But again, I asked, where's all this money? When I asked this question at that workshop, I got pretty much nothing. So I don't know if anybody can answer it now. My point is, there ought to be some significant improvements to broadband, which is a key to the economy of this county. But I don't know if any of the other supervisors that are really more affected by this than I am, if they have any comments. Thank you.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. And just to maybe dovetail on what Supervisor Strainer said regarding the celebration of Bill Kenny's life. Bill served 18 years on this board. He was a proud Democrat. He was a proud Red Sox fan. But arguably, he was also one of the most conservative members of this board. Tight with the buck, as my dad would say. My apologies to him for voting to approve the two resolutions regarding the repair to the rail lines. I think times have changed since Bill served. I also want to thank Amanda's office and the chairman for reprinting the proclamation that was presented to Bill upon his retirement from the Board of Supervisors. His widow and children will receive a copy of that very same resolution. Thank you.
Any Supervisor Molino?
At the beginning of the meeting, we were asked to consider a resolution to help the nursing home up north. Are we going to do anything, or
It's going to go on committee.
it's got to go back
And
to
it's going to
committee?
go take it to committee. Yep. You'll be on the legislative committee. Jeff, Frank?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank Mr. LaPel for his comments on the Joseph Warren Museum. As a person that was involved with it from the very get-go and throughout, I do think we missed an opportunity. I know it was a lot of money, but we threw away $142,000 and that's a lot of money too. So I do thank you for your comments, and I do think we need to put forth a resolution for the Elderwood and for the nursing.
We'll get it through committee. Anybody else? Josh?
Yes, I just wanted to report that last week, the town of Hague passed our short-term rental law, local law number 1. In that local law, well, tagging on to, we had a workshop last month talking about affordability of housing, and the town of Hague is not under any illusion that we're going to fix the problem overnight, but in our short-term rental local law, I think I said this at a prior meeting also, we have a 3-year wait for any new property purchases that take place after January 1, 2025. I would say that the intent of that is to slow down investors that are purchasing property in our community only on the basis of financial gain, not to be part of our community and contribute, such as a family or a retired person would. My purpose of, I recognize every one of our communities is different, but we took one small step because we are of the belief that we could be causing slow, irreversible damage by letting it continue to grow in our communities. The few affordable homes that come on the market are being purchased by people that, or not people, companies or people, or just individuals that only are seeing it for financial gain. And we're trying to stop that irreversible damage that potentially could take decades for towns to recover. And I just wanted this Board of Supervisors to be aware that we took action and we're trying to correct the problem. We don't have the magic formula yet, but we're trying something and we think it's in the best interest of our community and we're confident of that. Thank you.
Supervisor Drossy.
Just very quickly, two items. I assume that Lake George's offer for the Joseph Warren Museum still stands.
It does, yeah.
So I'm not sure what it would take to get action on that. I mean, that seems like an extremely reasonable approach. Can you think of a better place really in the middle of Lake George? So thank you for doing that. I would hope that to be some discussion and movement, one way or the other. Do we move on that or not? The second thing, I appreciate Supervisor Bruno's bringing up the broadband. You know, that I've brought that up several times. I'm tired of hearing from people that can't work remotely because they don't have it. Kids can't do remote schooling or homework because they don't have access to it. So unacceptable in 2024. Thank you for bringing it up.
The only thing I would say about that is everybody who has the count in their community, we need to find out when those counts are going to be serviced. I mean, each community had X number of people who didn't have a broadband, and I think we need to press the leaders of EDC to start knocking each one of those homes, get them broadband. But it's always the same story, you know, it's not profitable for the company. I mean, I have approximately two roads in my community, and I went to both Spectrum and Slick. Now they got all this other grant money. I followed up with John, asking him about John Wheatley. When are we gonna get it? It's a problem. So any other comments? Good discussion today. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.